Hello everyone, so today I'm going to pot this orchid. It's very tall, so ta-da! If you can see the flower right there, doesn't it look gorgeous or what? Yes, it does. So I always repot my orchids whenever I get a new one. You can see the roots are up in the air, right? So this is what I'll be using. This pot right here, this is an orchid pot. I like it because it got holes on the sides, and also I will be using this is the pot I got from KG Maxx. So I see it fit perfect. And also what I like about this is it kind of so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna cover this hole. So if I want to soak my orchids, I can do that right here. And also, I don't know if you can see, it's like a reservoir because it doesn't, see, the pots doesn't touch the bottom. So I you, especially in the winter, the air is very dry. So I always do that with my orchids in the winter, so they won't be dry out fast, because even in the winter I don't water very often in the winter because of course it's cold but the air is dry. So I always put like a reservoir at the bottom, kind of give them humidity. So this is what I'm gonna be using, this orchid pot. I got this from Amazon and I like it. I think they come with a set of 4, I believe. I forgot how much I bought it, but in this one it's $7.99 or $8. And this orchid, I got this from Walmart. Every time I go to Walmart, do my grocery shopping, and then I end up buying an orchid, right? Hold on. So I remove this. Oh, and I forgot to mention, this is the medium I will be using. This is my homemade. I made this mix right here. If you can see that, made with bark. This is the bark molds that I showed before, and then the charcoal that I made, and some sphagnum moss, and perlite and vermiculite, and that's it. Yep. So just if you notice, there's not a lot of sphagnum moss because I just want just right moisture, because sphagnum moss, they hold moisture, but you don't want too much moisture for your orchids or else they're gonna rot. So that's why I still want moisture but not too much. That's why I put sphagnum moss in there. And I don't know how much the orchid medium right now. I have a lot of orchids, so that's the cheapest way for me to make my own instead of buying the pre-made one. We'll check the roots now. So far the roots are very good. I don't see any you can see it. So just removing this. I love orchids because the flower lasts long, they last for months. If you can see the yellow roots right there, that's okay. This one is white. That means they just don't get sunlight or light at all. That's why the color is like that, but that's fine. And you can see there's still a lot of bark sticking to the roots. That's fine. I don't want to force them to get rid of it. I just leave it like that. And then I am going to cut the dead roots right here. Let's see. Also, you have to sterilize your scissors or whatever you're using to cut the roots. So far, this orchid is very healthy. I like it. Okay, I can use this pot too. I can do that, but I don't know if it can fit the roots in there. I think I'm gonna have a hard time doing that. So instead, I'm just gonna be using this one, this large one. I will go use this larger pots. And also, when potting orchids, I like to pot my orchids. So if you can see this crown, if you will, right here. So I don't like burying the whole crown when I repot. Maybe like up here, you know, because if you that's just my opinion, okay? So if I bury, let's say I pot it like up to here, and then it's gonna leave moisture for the crown, and that could lead to crown rot. You don't want that. So I just want to bury the roots right here. Okay. And then we're just gonna fill the gaps with our homemade potting media. So I know some of you might say, do not repot when they're blooming. That's just your own preferences. Me, I always done it, and so far I have good luck with them, and they love the media that I transplanted them into, because especially if they're planted in moss, you know, moss, that's just the manufacturers, that's what the sellers use to keep moisture. Let's say the flowers came from Hawaii, so they need more, you know, moisture, they need more water, so that's just to hold moisture for transit. And for me, I always repot. You know, I don't want to risk losing my orchids, then lose the flowers. Losing a flower would be too bad. So did I ever had a bud blast? Knock on wood, I did not had an experience with bud blast when I repot my orchids. So what I did, I don't know, some people ask me why, you know, I didn't get bud blast every time I repot, because have you seen me mounted my orchids in a piece of wood, repotted my orchids, and still they're still blooming 2 months later, you know, 2 or 3 months later. So why did my orchids didn't get a bud blast? So what I did, of course, The bud blast usually caused by a sudden change in their environment. The orchids, if it's too hot, they're I think they're very sensitive to sudden change, and you can tell from their flowers and from their leaves. So why I didn't get bud blast? I put them in the same spot where I usually put my orchids in my sunroom. They don't get direct sunlight, and the temperature, it's not very hot. It's the average temperature inside the house right now, summer, is about 65 to 80. We don't have AC. I don't know if that make a difference, maybe, because sometimes if it's too cold, orchids doesn't like it either. But we don't have an AC in the house. I opened the window for airflow inside the house, and also for my plants, and they get indirect sunlight. So watering them, I water them. Sometimes it depends. Like this one, when I transplant, I don't know if you can notice earlier, the roots were very wet. I don't have to water this. I don't want to water it because when I saw when I repotted it, the roots are wet, so they don't need to be watered. That's just my opinion. Because if they're wet and then you water it again, it's gonna hold more water, and you have the tendency for them to rot. So if they were dry, if the roots were leathery, dry, and wrinkly, I would water them after I transplant them. But this one, I don't need to water this because the roots are wet already. And I don't transfer my phalaenopsis orchid outside. Again, they're very sensitive to change, and a lot of people transfer their orchid outside. That's fine, orchids grows outside, but you have to do it gradually. Some people, they put it and then they didn't realize the sun is hitting the orchids, which the phalaenopsis doesn't like, and then they end up with the sunburn, burn to their leaves, and you don't want that. So right now my orchids are happy inside the house, and I have a lot of orchids. I don't like transferring them very often, like today transfer them and then tomorrow transfer them outside, or the next day inside. I don't have that time. I don't have that luxury. What I do one time though, when it was raining, I transfer them outside when it was raining, and then bring them in when it stopped raining, because I don't want the sun to burn the leaves, because orchids love rainwater. But I didn't do that anymore because like it's bothersome. If I don't have two jobs, maybe I would like to do that every time it rains, but I don't have the luxury to do that. I don't have the time. So what I did instead, I just collect rainwater and I use that to water my orchids. So you still get the rainwater without transferring my plants outside, And there it is. Ta-da! So here is our finished item. So this is our finished project. If you can see, I know these are still shooting up there, but that's fine. If you can see the crown right here, I didn't bury it, I didn't plant this because I don't want them to get rotted, crown rots. That's no good. And there you go, guys. So yes, I always repot my orchids. Call me crazy, but that's how I do it. And again, like for instance, this one. If you saw my other repotting video for this lady right here, beautiful lady, beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, so I repotted this about way back in April, March. But anyway, I repotted this long time ago. If you see the video, look at it. And I didn't get any bud blast. Again, my husband knocked this down on the floor when he was trying to open the window, and this was sitting in front of the window, and knocked this poor thing down to the floor. And I just repotted this, so of course the roots are not settled yet, and the media all over the floor. Some of the flowers, actually, I don't know if you can see that right here, some of the flowers were gone, like broke. So I got 1, 2, 3 with 3 flowers that I lost there. And this one got cut, but still it's alive. So yep, it needed it, and there you go. So when is the right time to repot your orchids? Ta-da. So usually I do it spring, summer, fall, maybe, if the temperature. So it depends on the temperature. You want the temperature to be not too cold. And yes, so I don't like repot because that's their growing season, spring and summer. They get a lot of because we get a lot of light, we get a lot of sunlight. So the growing season for orchids, spring and summer. So that's why I prefer to repot my orchids. So I repot them every 2 years. This lady is an old lady right here, and so far never failed me. I just because I just repotted this, you can see I put a tiny stake right here to kind of give it a support. I know this poor thing endured a lot, but it's still beautiful. I showed you earlier. I showed you earlier the roots right there. The leaves are very healthy, very thick, right? So you can see these roots right there growing. Yes, that means they're happy. They're happy to be transplanted. Yep, and you see that little cakey there? I don't know if you can see it right there. It's still early to tell, I guess, but we shall see. I'm hoping this is a cakey. And there's another one right here, actually. It's right in here. You can see that right there. That's another cakey. Is it cakey? A spike? Who knows? But I'm hoping it is a cakey. So I know when I repotted this